We'll see if Rival's able to switch it up here in picks and bans for game number 2 coming at you right now. Dobbo's Disciples in that first pick slot this time around instead of the second pick where they were last time around. I wonder if Rival's going to try and pick something a little bit more aggressive in the solo lane, because I feel like if Predators can get off to a lead and play that Hercules that he's kind of known for, maybe that's what will shut down Coast.
But if things are also playing a little bit more tentative towards the solo lane, then you'd have to imagine that Dobbo's Disciples might just choose to try and shift the map attention back towards duo. I think that for Rival, as much as they might want to play something a little bit more aggressive in solo, I don't think that they can really afford to spend any early game resources over there. Otherwise, they run the risk of just letting Vaporish get too far ahead again. So
King Arthur banned away, Gibalanque taken out of the hands of Vaporish Coast. And there's the Vamana ban, and I think this is an interesting point because now Dobbo's Disciples have a choice. Do you pick the Hera again for Dobson, which should absolutely be the pick, or do you wait and call the bluff of Rival saying, we don't think that Fly can play the Hera, didn't play it last week, they decided to play it safe rather than sorry. I feel like getting Dobson the Hera is the most important thing, so you should just take it here. But I wonder, if they leave that open, does Rival even take it from them?
I feel like Fly would probably want to take the Hera. I think that Fly is a mechanically gifted enough player that he could pick just about any mage, if not every mage, in the mid lane and probably perform with it. And I think that it would definitely greatly help out Rival in a lot of their jungle fighting aspects. They seem to really struggle with just controlling one member even from Dobbo's Disciples. That's why a lot of those team fights just seem so scatterbrained from Rival in the first match. But I do like the frontline response, though, from Rival. Guan Yu, Artio gives them a little bit of playroom, I think, to get their damage online.
Artio, I imagine, will probably be in support, whereas it's Guan Yu solo. That's what we've seen a little bit more of. We'll see if that's where it ends up going. Because Osiris Geb the 2 selections for Dobbo's Disciples. A little surprised that isn't Cernunnos instead of the Geb in that spot, right? I mean, it's such a priority pick these days. I think Coach should count himself lucky. He got it 10th in game 1, and after a performance like he had in that game, I'm kind of surprised they don't pick it early.
But I don't think it really is going to make that much of a difference, to be honest. I think that Coast thinks he can play any hunter and run this Rival squad.
I'm sure he thinks that. Whether that's reality is a different story, but we'll have to wait and see, though maybe he knew that Cabrakan could have been a selection coming up for Rapio. They banned it in game number 1, and this has been a pick that a lot of players, both in the EU, NA, minor league, console league, Cabrakan's kind of rising as of late, and certainly would have had a good matchup up against Cernunnos.
Teams, I think, starting to really value his lock-in potential because it is that pseudo-cage effect that you get from candidates like Odin. I think that the Tectonic Plates are just super annoying, especially for Geb to try and run away from. Also, it might make things a little bit easier for punishing Dobson in that mid lane. I think that Rival definitely struggled trying to look for a moment to, I guess, engage onto Dobson, but now with the Cabrakan, that might be a little bit easier to accomplish.
No Giannis ban up against Fly, a little bit surprising to me, but Agni and Poseidon, the 2 bans from Dobbo's Disciples, trying to focus out Rival's mid laner, whereas it's Odin, Bakasura, the bans up against Dobbo's Disciples. Cernunnos actually taken by Rival this time around, so their composition looking kind of similar to what Dobbo ran in the last game. They've got the Artio and the Cernunnos now.
And there's still a possibility for actually Jing Wei. This is a little bit different too for Vaporish, because Jing Wei is not a hunter that you're going to be looking for the early boxing potential with, especially not when paired alongside the Geb. But that's why I think that Dobbo's Disciples have done such an excellent job rounding out this composition, because you have your early game to mid game presence with the Hera, Osiris, and the Pele.
You might be able to put this Cernunnos in the mid lane. Freya also open, but Scylla going to be the selection instead. Certainly plenty of setup between Artio, Guan, and Cabrakan. This 3 Guardian, well, 2 Guardian, 1 Warrior front line could be enough to set up for Fly in the mid lane. I think Cernunnos mid could have ended up working out, but we'll have to wait and see how Davey does up against the Jing Wei in that duo lane. Does Dobbo's Disciples get the 2-0 here, Taka?
I think they're looking strong for it.
Coast looking for that 2-0 victory. Game 2 coming up.
Can he find the Game 2 victory? That's the question. One thing that the Des did say, though, Totally, is that Rival upgraded their tankiness a little bit more so now. They replaced, well, basically Ratatoska with a Cabrakan to an extent, went for more tankiness in the front line. Do you reckon that's going to be enough?
It could be, considering DineOhSaw also now playing the Artio. More aggression from him. This time is Switch playing the passive Geb, surprising from the Bacchus in game number 1. It's almost like as if Dobos is saying, you know, whatever you can do, we can do better.
Well, the last game, it was Rival that were on the back end of playing on this Geb, didn't have the pressure, and This time round, it could be the other way around. DineOhSaw and Davey with the power play of Artio and Cernunnos in the dual lane definitely have dominance here. The question is what they can do with that dominance. Will we see Mango come to the red early, or will we just see them forgive and let go of these purple buffs?
You hit the nail right on the head, Hindu man. It's going to come down to Mango or Rapio making the pressure first, but wasting no time. Rival immediately going for that purple buff. No one even near the stratosphere of defending. Great start for Rival. They're going to hit level 2 after 1 or 2 melee minions and create even more pressure if they could strip away red buff.
Yeah, it was definitely a nice little start there from Rival early on, and now you can see Vaporeation Switch just trying to answer back a little bit by going for their own red, making sure it doesn't get taken off the second wave. The question is what Rival do in that dual lane? Do they put hard push or do you freeze it?
You hard push because you want to control your own
buffs, right? Yeah.
Reset that timer, just maximize your gold per minute, and that way you can also invade that next purple buff that's going to be coming up in about 1.5 minutes.
Well, what they've decided to do is actually sit in lane and freeze that lane, Tully. So they're level 2 in the dual lane for Rival, whereas Dobbo's Disciples after that red buff still level 1 and need a couple of creeps. But now that wave's clear already, well, it'll just even out for the most part. Mango in the mid lane, though, with Dobson joining in. These two, I'm excited to see how they continue on this season.
Oh, wow.
Ooh,
that double polymorph hit. Just showing off a little bit of flash and flare for the fans at home. I still like the play from Rival despite not hard pushing right away. They're guaranteed to get their purple buff no matter what they did at the end of the day. So denying at least even 3 melee minions puts them in a great experience lead as they're about to hit level 3.
Definitely a situation that is developing where the dual lane for Rival have a small lead at the start, and the solo lane, it's going to go the way of Osiris early on against a Guan Yu. Guan just doesn't have the same clear as an Osiris or the box potential in the early game.
No, not in the early game, but as the laning phase progresses, I think that's where Predators is going to really start controlling that matchup, considering that his heal is going to be higher level, as long as that Predators doesn't fight OPUSB during the ethereal form.
Ooh, Mango's in trouble. Cabrakan on the chase and an Artio there too. Oh, she's got his movement speed to help her out. It will allow her to escape the crush and it'll hold off a lot of damage. Switch got there, but not in time to keep his jungler alive, and Rival get first blood. That goes over to Davey on the Cernunnos.
Huge props to that kill now, getting so many stacks in the Hunter's Blessing, trying to win that race. And this time it's Davey going for a different build than what Vaporesh Coast went with the Devil Gloves last game, but this time around Davey wanting to rush that Runeforged Hammer. Yeah,
Runeforged on Cernunnos, we discussed that a little bit, Tully. It's mainly because of the season stance, right? He's got a permanent slow available to him, which means he's consistently going to be doing that extra 15% extra damage.
You amplify all your basic attacks by 15%. Whatever attack speed you're losing in an item is still translated into the DPS conversion rate. So it's still basically the same amount of DPS as if you were to go, let's say, Executioner, minus the penetration stacks, like not including that. But I think the health that you get from this item as well is good to surviving some ganks. The power that you get is more than most items.
Oh, left-hand side, Coast is in trouble, has to get away as fast as he can. Can he outreach DineOhSaw? No, he got ruined. And after the fact, you saw the Gust come into play, but he couldn't land it in time. Meanwhile, speed buff was invested on an engagement by Dobbo's Disciples on this right-hand side, but Mango may end up falling down. The speed buff, though,
too fast,
as well as the mobility, will just be enough to get him away.
Rapio only level 4, doesn't have the seismic shift necessary to be able to lock that Pele into place, and the fact that Predators misses the stun was an important factor as to how Mango was able to escape there.
Actually, it keeps the junglers even now as well, as they're both still level 4 because of that. Rapio hasn't hit level 5 on the Cabrakan yet just either, as he heads over towards his own red buff. Meanwhile, Dobbo's Disciples managed to secure their own red on the left-hand side of the map and give that over to Vaporesh Coast in the dual lane. That will help out a little bit there, I guess, Toli, against some of the pressure that this dual lane has been bringing.
That's something that Dobbo needs to figure out a way to mitigate early, because they were the ones on the opposite end in game number 1, so they know the true power that's behind invading these purple red buffs. If they don't stop the next one, they could be in a world of hurt. But considering that they're getting outpushed here, I just don't see them being able to, especially with Mango not even interested in making this rotation.
You can see Rapio's already over here on the left-hand side, looking for a potential pick around the purple. Looks like Switch may be rotating around to have a little nosy in with the rollout, but if they saw that rollout or heard it, that makes it even worse!
Wow.
Couple of ultimates later, and there's another kill on the board for Rival.
Clean up, Mango going in. There goes the lightning. Trying to get off the shots onto DineOhSaw. Argus needed to connect onto Davey, but extra movement speed chasing him down.
Oh, but they stayed in the fight, and they will pick off Dobson with the Iron Monster. Double hit onto the carry too! And before Mango goes down, is now it's only Coast left at level 4. Where's your rare strike now, son? 60-meter fly with the rotation and a triple kill. 6-0. Rival have turned it around from game 1.
See, 50-meter fly wouldn't be able to do that last year, but
60-meter
fly, he's an upgraded version. He's the better version of himself from last year, and he's been able to make it happen.
Totally, that was a weird fight, though, overall. I mean, Switch rolling in there on the Geb to try and check his buff. That he instantly removed, and then the rest of the team kind of powered in one after the other.
To be fair, to his credit, he didn't know Rapio was there in the landed corner. He only thought it was going to be DineOhSaw and Davey contesting the purple. He was thinking, all right, maybe I'll roll the dice. I'll just use my Geb knockup and hopefully steal this buff and be scot-free. But no, Rapio dropping the seismic shift after hitting level 5. That Geb was not going anywhere considering he was only level 4.
Did like Davey dropping the ultimate straight after the fact on the Cernunnos too, just to follow that up, make sure he couldn't shield or shell himself. And now the red buff being looked at by Rival, looking to continue the pressure going. We're about 1,000 gold lead now. Switch rolls in to try and help out his team, gets a good shield off on Dobson, and a Cataclysm too onto DineOhSaw, but no further follow-up damage.
They stop them from invading the red buff. That's the important factor. Dobbo secures it for themselves. Not going to let this experience in gold lead just to be out of control quite yet as we're approaching the 7-minute mark.
Definitely some changes in the mid lane too, with both of them now going for Book of Tough. Dobson again on the Hera. This time around though, Fly has followed suit with his own. Meanwhile though, with the red buff on the other side of the map, Rival being engaged on and forced under their tier 2 tower. Rapio does get away from August as DineOhSaw was doing his best with the roots, but he's out of mana now. Switch with a 2-man knock-up, but there's no further follow-up available from Dobbo Disciples. The red buff did fall, but it went the way of Rival.
I'm not sure if Mango missed his ultimate or if he used that defensively just to escape, but either way, I think there could have been a kill onto DineOhSaw. Unfortunately, Switch didn't have the cooldowns necessary for his ultimate, so that engage needed to be waited upon.
Totally, you can see OverPoweredUSB on this. Osiris gone for the Berserker shield this game. Does this depend on what god you're playing when you go Berserkers or Gladiators? Is it that important?
Absolutely does. If you're an attack-based warrior such as Osiris, Bellona, Erlang Shen, anything that can cleave with basic attacks, you're generally going to want to pick up that Berserker shield, getting extra attack speed, healing yourself based off of how many basic attacks that you do versus how many abilities you throw at it. And Osiris, his basic attack chain, if you think about it, it's like a half a second, then you throw out an ability to reset that chain, and then you're proccing more hits from the Berserker shield.
Is it worth getting Gladiators as well, or is that just too much?
That's a little too early game focus. Like, I guess if you're making early rotations, you could. Knowing that Sickle Strike, the first ability, is a 5-second cooldown, you could go both. It's not unheard of to benefit from 2 bridge items in certain builds.
But what's the reason we don't see that?
I think there's just too much action in the mid game to the point where you don't want to get
There's some action in the jungle again, and once again Geb has found out that he's caught between a rock and a hard place, and he's not just the only rock in this one. He will escape for now with the rollout. However, the fight after the fact could be a little bit different. Flies low, gets a good crush on Dobson. Airstrike from Vaporized Coast does force Fly back to safety as Predators and David with the last 2 out of the engagement, but Osiris for a 3-man ult.
Double rooting into place, but the damage from Predators is zoning everyone away. Mango gets sliced and diced. Davey taking out OPUSB. That was just a little too frisky. Now the root onto Dobson. Keep in mind, Switch is still around the corner, has the Gap Shield available, and that all came down to forcing Switch out of the team fight early. Even though they didn't find the kill, it's a technical kill, so therefore Rival having to just kind of take advantage now of a 5-on-4.
And the one thing about that fight too is, well, it was Osiris that leapt onto 3 targets. It looked good until 60-meter fly threw the crush over the wall.
Yes.
And you realize that, you know, crush versus no magical defense, Osiris, you're going to have an easy time, I think.
And also Predators was using the Tallow Assault onto Mango that built the Anchile, so having a lot of magical defense but no physical defense. And Predators is dealing so much damage there. You could just see how quickly it shredded that squishy assassin.
Yeah, you can see he's gone for the Black Form Hammer here as well, something we've seen a little bit more of this season. Had a couple of buffs, most notably is how much his freaking HP pool is. 450 health.
It's a lot.
It's a huge amount.
It is a lot of health at the end of the day, and more importantly, it's the cooldown reduction that you get with it. Normally, when you're getting cooldown reduction of yesteryear Soul Lane, it's been the Breastplate of Valors. But now if you're looking for something else, it's either Gladiator Shield for still a hybrid item, but if you're going for the pure power with that 35 power you get from this item, it's got to be the Blackthorn Tower.
End of the day on a Guan Yu as well, you want cooldown reduction, you want mana regen, And you want the cooldown reduction when you've got mana to spend, so
Sure.
this works out beautifully. At the moment, though, he's having a bit of a rough time of it against overpowered USB still. Not down to half health, but not panicking just yet. The rest of Rival have positioned and started this Gold Fury.
Relatively early, sitting less than 25%
Now
health,
strike.
trying to steal it. Vapor's Coast, not able to do it.
Only man really there to assist. I mean, you saw Switch did turn up a little bit late, but like game one, Dobbo's kept getting the objectives very quickly before Rival could sniff it out. And it seems to be the same story, but in reverse for game two.
It was very close, and I like the switch up that Dobbo has been able to do. They're not losing it as hard, I think, as Rival was in the first game, but they are getting into a slippery slope where these level leads are really starting to show the difference. Davey with a 2-level lead.
Mid lane's huge.
No stacking difference between these two. No stacks at all for Davey, whereas Vapor's goes sticking to his guns, getting that Devil Gloves. Yes, mid lane as well. 3-level lead. That triple kill coming from Fly was the big difference maker.
Yeah, those levels do make a difference to the mid lane position. The fact you get extra damage on your abilities to be able to just fire those off. Itemization build-wise, not much of a difference just yet. But keep an eye on that third item being completed, yeah.
Something we also have to keep in mind as we're going throughout this game is the changes in Season 6 behind kill bounties. Whenever you have a lead in Season 5, you weren't going to get a big amount of gold or experience for a kill, whereas now in Season 6, we kind of changed the formula behind some of these kills. So if for whatever reason Dobson was to solo Fly, he would get an extreme boosted amount of experience to play easy catch-up.
So it's not really over just yet, but the writing's starting to appear on the wall slowly. There's still only, what, 2,700 gold experience, as you said. A little bit more so. The next gold Fury could be very telling, or even Pyromancer at this point.
And where I was going with that last previous statement was basically trying to compare these two teams. How Dobbos was playing in that first game was very methodical, and whatever lead that they built, they didn't allow Rival to get back into the game. So Rival going to have to do the same mannerisms that Dobbos did and just play very cleanly, and so far they've done it. They haven't even given up a single kill yet.
Still waiting to see how these Hunter builds evolve through the season. Hold that fort though, because Rapio's on the right-hand side. I thought he was going to go for a gank there, but unfortunately Osiris, well aware of what's going on. Overpowered USB had a ward in the jungle, just spotting out this rotation, and now Mango turns up as well. But Fly also over here. Big grouping on the right for the Tomaku for the Pyro. What is it for?
Dobos doesn't need to worry about anything here because they're like Pyromancer would be a risky call. I think Rival would be overstretching if they were to go for it. Dobos could contest. Dobos doesn't have to worry about blue buff because it's not coming up yet. If you're worried about losing Totem of Q, just give it up. You're giving up 125 gold collectively every minute, which does add up, but losing your life to try to defend that means like you lose a Pyromancer or maybe even your tier 1 tower as a result.
How do you feel about the Scylla honoring for Mango here? Obviously, there's a couple of magical damage dealers. The silence can be useful too. But I don't think the passive's going to, you know, the passive of the item isn't going to get used as well as he wants it to.
There's two abilities I'm looking at that's really going to shut down Rival with the Enchile. It's going to be the Tremors from Cabrakan and also the Root from DineOhSaw's Artio.
Yeah.
So as long as he's point blank range enough to get that silence off, that's the key behind it. Also, it's going to stop Predators if he gets... So if Mango gets hit by magical damage, procs the Oncule, it's going to stop the Tower Assault.
Mango blinked in, and Mango ults away straight after the fact, saying nope, 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 nope. He had a bit of backup behind him, though, in Dobson and Switch waiting around the corner, but he didn't like what he saw in the jungle. This is really Dobbo's Disciples trying to find an answer, trying to find a kill so far this game, as it's still 8-0 in Rival's favor.
Mango is like the guy that goes to the beach on like the first day of summer and realizing that the water is still cold, and he's like, no, you know what? I'm not ready to get in this cold water quite yet.
So what, does he just drive back home straight afterwards? Is that what happens? Or just sit on the beach?
No, he's just going to sit on the beach. I mean, if you're going to spend the time to get to the beach, are you really just going to leave? Might as well enjoy the scenery. Listen to the waves crashing in.
Is that what you do? Just
relax by the beach, yeah.
Chill out and see what happens. Overpowered USB still equal level with Predators in the solo lane so far, both level 14. That's the real evenness in the game at the moment. I will say, though, Mango up a level over Rapio is a little bit surprising, but then again, it is Pele versus Cabrakan.
Pele does have more mobility, so you're able to go from jungle camp to jungle camp. Rapio was there to help get the first blood, but it's not always the case that getting kills or assists, rather, is going to generate more experience. So that's why Mango's been getting the slight edge over Rapio.
DineOhSaw just trying to be a nuisance on the front line against Dobson for the time being as the wave is cleared out. Another red buff invade happening. Or is it? It's a trap and the wall comes crashing down. Argus in response from Dobson slows them down and the poly also sets up some damage and Switch still alive yet again by the skin of his teeth. The red buff, however, Argus has got to try and bring it down before the rest of the team does, as Dobson being kept in check by DineOhSaw.
Are you kidding me? Switch surviving yet again.
Maybe
Or
not.
is he? Predator is going to get polymorphed. Slowed, tethered, Switch yet again for the third time
Chasing
in
the
this
gap.
game. Will survive momentarily.
Hey Tony, he may live, but he still loses the red buff and the purple buff on this left-hand side of the map, which keeps the pressure rolling for Rival. At the same time, Gev having to base means there's a window for Rival to start up this Gold Fury.
But the problem is they invested 3 ultimates. Now they've invested 4. Predators trying to dive the backline. Will take out Dobson. Now a 5-on-4.
Did say gold, I meant primal. Remember the change, but Mango has turned up and made sure Davey goes back to his locker for now. As Vaporish coast with the airstrike, looked for damage, didn't really find a target, looking to reposition, but Fly is repositioned at the backside too. Rapio trying to swing away into Mango, but still can't find the hands. Instead, he catches them from coast as he keeps up the pressure on this Jing Wei that's turning the fight around.
Oh my god, Coast doing a lot of DPS. Look at Fly wrapping around the top side, taking out his DineOhSaw. No,
Well,
the
the heal.
heal from Predators is
Crush!
good enough. The double kill from Fly.
And Mango, though, will pick up Fly in response, and Mango looks for a double kill of his own towards DineOhSaw. Vaporish Coast left 1v1 against Predators. Neither want to really deal with a Guan Yu at the moment, but they're trying to split the difference, and Coast has angled himself into a corner they didn't want to be in. The Primal Fury still stands, the purple does not, and Reform Mango does not either, as he will fall for his indiscretion.
That's an unofficial DSI with Dobson reviving, but at the end of the day, Rival, they still hold on because Dobbo's hold on because Rival don't get the Gold Fury.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. They do lose quite a few members there. I believe Rapio fell earlier on, Davey fell, so not going to have the DPS necessary to confirm that objective.
Fly hitting that two-man crush, though, on the tanks
That was
really
beautiful.
made a big impact, and now, once again, Rival haven't stopped. They're going back to the Primal Fury once more. DineOhSaw with low mana, Predators on zone duty, but in comes overpowered USB. The cavalry charges pop, the stun is good, but the Primal still stands. In they go, looking for the steal, and Rival will get the Primal Fury for now, but now they've got to turn tail and run as overpowered USB and Argus continue the chase.
Knowing Flies around the corner, they don't want to commit to that chase down, so Rival need to extend this lead even further while Dobbo's having to play catch up. And keep in mind that last fight, despite Fly looking magnificent with that double crush, that team fight was done without the use of his ultimate. He used it originally trying to kill Switch between that tier 1 and tier 2 tower while he was caught in that Cabrakan ultimate. And that fight could have went even more heavily in the favor of Rival if they had that ultimate.
It's around just under a 4,000 gold lead for Rival now after that Primal Fury. And the Primal Fury, you know, just like the Oni, it brings something different from the Gold Furies this time. Not as much gold, but it still brings an impact.
So Primal Furies is going to allow you to deal more damage to jungle camps and specifically jungle bosses, such as the Pyromancer, such as Fire Giant, and other Gold Furies, Primals, and Onis. And that is important to do extra damage to the Fire Giant, knowing how more resilient it's become in Season 6. More protections, more health. If you're not building penetration to burn that objective, you're going to need some of those Primal Fury buffs.
And the Enhanced Fire Giant too, if you can get that, it will help bring it down, and also allow you to do even more damage. Crush connects onto Switch, but forces out his shield as Mango blinks in, looks for Fly, but gets the Aegis off. Davies trying to keep Reform Mango in check, and the Cataclysm from Switch, unfortunately, didn't really find a target there. The blinking from DineOhSaw could turn this around.
Going aggressive, and even more aggressive is Predators on the horse. Going to
Mango.
stun out to the Ama Monster. Is going to force out Vaporish Coast.
Great shield from Switch to keep his carry alive, but not long enough. Mango finally does fall down, but he ate a lot of ultimates in the process. Overpowered USB wasn't there. He was looking to take down a tier 1 tower, and that's going to make it a 1-for-1 on towers on the map. His Rival barrel down the mid
They're
lane.
not done yet. They're going to root out Switch. They want to get a little bit closer to him if possible and lock him down. Then Porsche Coast coming back from the fountain, trying to hold on to this tier 2 tower in a 4-on-5.
They've got plenty of health at the moment, totally, with this composition from Rival, with Guan Yu being there. Mana may be the only problem on Rapio. Everybody else seems okay. But with the reinforcements from Dobbo's being there, 4 members strong, it's enough to push them back from engaging the tier 2. Buys Dobbo's a window to clear out some of the buffs in their own jungle.
Fly's doing just an enormous amount of damage, but so is Dobson on the other side playing this Hera. Most of it is obviously onto the Argus, where the difference really lies is the healing. done. Predators on this Guan Yu has been making the impact, diving to backline, and then still coming back in time to heal whoever got hurt in his own respective backline.
Love the fact Dobbo's disciples as well. If you look at the composition and the actual item builds too, they've actually noticed this healing could become more of a problem. So they've invested into Beat Stick, Divine Ruin. Looks like a Pestilence could be on the cards for OverPoweredUSB. Not only that, he picked up the Cursed Ankh as well, which, if that's popped in a team fight when it's the upgraded version, it could cause a lot of problems for Rival here.
As long as that somebody gets healed, they're going to be receiving extra damage. It's a great way to take out Vamanas that are in their ultimates, but Guan Yu's as well, or any healer in that case, is a good look. But more importantly also is the defensive relic from Switch, going for the Phantom Relic. Normally you see it against an Odin player, but even against a Cabrakan, it's not a complete circle like of the Odin, but it's enough to still create havoc, right? Like that tier 1, between tier 1, tier 2 tower where Switch barely escaped, if that happens again, I don't know if this time Switch will survive. Oh, the late game damage coming from Fly.
Well, Rival have headed over towards the Fire Giant. They've done a good job clearing out as many wards as they can on their way. As DineOhSaw initiate, it's OverPoweredUSB coming in to check, and he get a ton of damage from Scylla. Jukes out the Iron Monster, however, so that's going to be on cooldown. The Fire Giant's reset for now. OverPoweredUSB trading ult for ult.
Fly using that ultimate a little too ambitious, because without that confirmed damage on the Fire Giant, do you really even want to start that objective? It's risky.
But now the fight is continuing on as Reform Mango gets pressured by DineOhSaw one more time. And under the tier 1 tower on the right-hand side go Dobbo's disciples. Dobson, meanwhile, though, he got isolated by the walls. There was no chance to get the Phantom off there as the tier 1 falls. Predators looking for a stun onto Overpowered. Finds it onto Switch. And after the fact, the follow-up damage is there too. The crush is good. And Davey gets the kill.
They're not done yet. They're diving this tier 2 tower. Tier 1 already falling, getting themselves 500 gold, looking for another 1,500. Unfortunately for Dobson, Switch was just too close to the tier 1 tower to save this Hera that has no gap closing abilities to escape. Has plenty of movement speed when you pop the shield and that extra health shield that you get from it, but that's not going to get you away from the seismic shift.
Both teams won their games in week 1 of the SCL, and whoever wins this will go top of the standings at least until next week. And with Dobbo's being up 1-0, it's no surprise to see Rival fighting their way back into this now to even up the score and take a Fire Giant at 22.5 minutes in the game.
This was faster, I believe, than the last game, or very close to
it. I'd say, yeah.
Because now that I'm thinking about it, it might actually be the same exact timing. I believe 27.5 minutes is when that enhanced Fire Giant was taken in game number 1. And you're so right, Hindu Man. This game is looking like it might stretch to a game 3 if Rival continue to play this cleanly. On the left-hand side, you saw the teleport. Reform Mango was the one looking for a cheeky 1,500 gold for his team.
Gold Fury has spawned. It is a Gold Fury this time. I'll make sure I start getting those right this year. Still a hard thing after 5 years to have something change on you. And you're like, wait a second. There's a different color in the Gold Fury pit. That's not a Gold Fury.
What's more confusing for me is the fact that it's Primal that's green.
Yeah.
And it's Oni that's red. And you would think
Primal
that
should be red?
I think that Primal should be red. Because it's just...
Primal means red?
Angry. It's just so
Primal is angry.
Yeah, I don't know. Like
Primal Totally is angry
It sounds
Totally.
angry. Hungry Totally is angry Totally.
Yeah, we've seen. I've noticed. 16-3 then, approaching 24 minutes in. Fire Giant around the waist of every member of Rival. There's a couple of tier 2 towers still standing and one tier 1 on the left-hand side for them to look to take down. If you're Dobbo's disciples here, Tolly, do you look to defend these towers?
Yes, you still have the opportunity to defend. It's up to how you bait out certain abilities and cooldowns. You're kind of trying to bait out the crush and then go in. So Fly is going to be your key focus factor if you're Dobbo's. Either dive him or force him to miss some of his abilities.
Well, so far the change for Rival has been taking an extra tank into the game, or at least a better frontliner with the Cabrakan over the Ratatoska, and it's making a difference so far, I would say, in terms of how involved in these fights, how long they can stay around. Obviously, the Guan Yu heals will come into play a little bit, but these adjustments have put Dobbo's disciples on the back foot this game as they look to defend their Phoenix on the left-hand side.
Really scary lead now. Rival 13,000 in the lead, looking for their first Phoenix. Look at Mango wrapped around underneath. There is a sentry ward there to spot him out, though.
Damage out from Vaporish Coast onto DineOhSaw, but he's weathering the storm nicely. Mango wrapping around the back, but has he been spotted out in time? Blink, and the knockup comes out, but Mango trapped in the pit. Good Phantom comes into play, but it forced heal out of Mango defensively as well. Cataclysm hits 3 targets. Argus was in the mix, but it wasn't enough for a kill. And now the turnaround is there. The Iron Monster connects, but it didn't do a whole lot of nothing. Fly will get a triple from the Crush. And now into the base they go. Can they find him the Quadra? No, Predators will steal that away. Surrender vote has begun. And it looks like Rival should take game 2.
They're going for the end. The Guan Yu healing out of Predators is enough to try to go for it. No tier 2 towers remain, and that's going to be a game 3 now.
Totally, I mean, we said this in game 1 about the pressure in duo lane being an issue. Game 2 is the same story. Geb and, of course, the Jing just weren't enough to compete against Cernunnos Artio.
Definitely not. And this time around, also Rapio playing this Cabrakan, more aggressive in his right. Predators making great rotations on the Guan Yu, creating havoc in the backline. I think that he did a good job, and I'm expecting more of this aggressive composition. I think if DineOhSaw sticks to his guns of playing anything aggressive, like Artio, even with Blink, like the way he did in this game number 2, is going to translate well in game 3.
I think it really is more of a support aggressive meta right now, and I think that's where we've seen a bit of a disconnect of what supports we see, whether they should be drafted in the composition. We'll find out though, because now we're going to get a game 3, but before that, we'll break it down on the desk.
Rival gets their revenge on Vaporous Coast's revenge that already happened in game 1. Rival win game 2, and they make it look really, really easy, Taco. Low pressure in duo does not seem to be working so far this set.
Does not seem to be the game plan, but more specifically, I think it was a combination of a Jing Geb being low pressure and the fact that it didn't feel like they were trying to play that lane as though they were playing Geb or Jing. We were actually all just talking about it while watching, but they were just so relentlessly aggressive that by the time 50-meter Fly came over to make that rotation, that was a well-executed Scylla flank.
Fly looks completely better than he did in game 1. Dobson really struggles on the Hera this time around, and that was really the difference. This set the tone very early on. Just Fly making it look really easy. 2 shots with I'm a Monster, 3 connected, and he ends up getting all 3 kills towards the back end. Fly makes it work with the Scylla. I was saying maybe you put Cernunnos mid here because you have the magical jungler. You get some more pressure that way. Pressure be damned, Fly just brought the damage, and that's what Scylla's here to do.
The other problem as well is that Scylla is someone whose power spike typically isn't hit until around this level 14 stage, but Fly had the benefits of all that damage super early on off of the bounty kills from the triple kill that he got. And it's just, when you have that much gold to work with so early on as a Scylla, you're automatically years, like light years ahead of your opposition in the mid lane, and I can't even imagine how rough that felt for Dobson on the Hera to try and contest with the Scylla when he had such a clear advantage.
The Fly got multi-kills left and right all game long. The early triple, the double that we saw, and then a triple to end the game right there. Fly looks great, and this is what we've been talking about. I mean, it's Coast or Fly for my money that's the best player on console right now, and Coast looked awfully good in game 1. Fly looks awfully good in game 2. We'll see where we go in game 3. I also think it's worth mentioning that Rapio looked much, much better in game 2. His Cabrakan really controlled the jungle very well.
It felt like he felt a lot more in his place on that Cabrakan as opposed to the Ratatoskr from game 1. But, man, all this talking about Fly and Vaporous, they're starting to wonder what would it look like if they were together.